In this video, we are going to answer the question, what is a business broker? What do they actually do, and how do you become one? Let's go. If you were going to sell a home, who would you go to? See, that was the question that I started this whole journey with. Because when I was told about business brokering, I honestly had no idea what it was. Now, I've been a real estate agent for almost a decade. And when I had a client of mine tell me about business brokering, I was like, I don't even know what that is. So I had to do my own research. And by research, I mean ChatGPT, Google, but also I did a focus group with people that I knew. And I would ask them that question. I would say, hey, if you're going to sell your house, who would you call? They said, well, Travis, I would call you. You're a real estate agent. And then I asked them, okay, all right, what if you had a business to sell? Who would you call? And the answers I got were basically, you could see their mind turning and they had no idea. Or they'd be like, I have no idea who to call. And that's when I saw the opportunity of business brokering. And so I decided to dive in and figure out, like, what actually is a business broker? Like, what do they do? And if I wanted to get started, what would I do to get started? And that's what we're going to go over in this video. So what is a business broker? Simply put, they are basically helping small business owners sell their business and trying to find the buyer for that. And it's similar to a real estate agent, but it's a little bit more complex because you're dealing with a lot more financials. And now you might say, Travis, that sounds like a commercial real estate agent. But hold on, because it's not the same. Most business brokers are dealing with lease transfers, and there's not really any real estate involved. So let me give you an example. Let's just say that there's a pizza shop down the street in a complex right next to a grocery store. They don't own the building. They just own the pizza shop. So what a business broker is doing is they are actually selling the opportunity of owning a pizza shop. And simply put, that's what a business broker is. They are connecting buyers and sellers. So what does business brokers actually do? Well, they do a lot. And one of the things that is the most important and become the most challenging with business brokering is valuing a business. See, unlike real estate, we can look at comparison properties that have sold in the last 90, 180 days with the same square footage. Not really the same, because think of business brokering as you have a lot of different businesses that look the same, but are very different. Let me give you an example. Let's talk about that same pizza shop. Now, that same pizza shop could be in a certain area, could be 2 miles away, and it's the closest. And you're like, oh, wow, they're pizza shop. They should be the same. Well, one pizza shop is doing $1 million a year, and the other one is doing $500,000 a year. So they may even have very similar layouts. They may even have the same style of pizza, but one is not the same because we are basing it on finances. We're basing it on the cash flow. We're basing it on what they are actually bringing to the table as a business. So valuations is a big part of being a business broker. Now, I would say one of the other thing is marketing. If you're starting this, the marketing may look a little different than it has over the years because marketing is not going to be like real estate. I'll challenge you. Go look on TikTok, go look on YouTube, go look on Facebook and look up business brokering and then compare that to real estate. You're going to have a lot of real estate agents walking through homes, talking about them, walking through communities. You're not going to have that with business brokering. And there's other reasons why, but I will tell you, the marketing is a little bit different. You're not going to be as in front and in people's faces and doing a lot of videos. Now, I will say that you can, but I would say the history says that's not very typical. Now, the other thing that brokers do is really buyer sourcing. So there's a lot of things when it comes to buyer sourcing that you have to understand. One, hey, when you start listing a business, like you're going to get a lot of calls. You're going to get a ton of calls and you're going to have to vet those people because some people are looky-loos. Some people don't have the ability to get the funding, but they want to jump into, a pizza shop like we were talking about. So you're going to have to vet them. But the other thing is there's a lot of other marketing things that you have to do and you have to think about outside the scope of the business or marketing. One thing is synergy. Synergy is a huge thing in businesses. So what that means is, let's just say that you did have a pizza shop. And we're just going to stay with that because it's the easiest way as we start moving through what a business broker is and what they do. Let's just say we have that pizza shop and it's for sale. But we have another pizza shop that is, let's just say 4 miles down the road or in another city, okay? Now, this is a mom and pop. Both of these are, okay? So we could call the one that isn't for sale. We could call them and say, hey, listen, Mr. Owner, I know you have this pizza shop in X city, but we actually have a pizza shop in the city right next to you that's for sale. Would you be interested in buying that and expanding your location? That's called synergy, because that pizza shop that we are selling has everything they need, and it's in a different area, and so they can expand the operation. And you can take this with any niche, any business niche, anything like that. You can transfer any. So think about like a landscaping company. Landscaping companies are great, right? But if you're in one city and a landscaping company's in another city is selling, you could easily buy their customers, buy their contracts, buy that company, rebrand it to yourself, and expand your operation. That's called synergy. So as we're vetting and we're finding buyers, we have to ultimately go and look for buyers that are in the same space. Just like a real estate agent, business brokers do a lot of negotiating, even a little bit more heavy on the negotiation, and also more problem solving, I would say, especially because business broking is more like the Wild Wild West, and the funding's a little bit different. Now, you do have your standard small business administration, the SBA loans that you can get, but also there's a lot of creative financing that goes into it. So when you are doing all of these negotiations, you have to understand that you're not just negotiating, price or, little here and there things that you would maybe a real estate transaction. You're going to be negotiating how to get the deal done. And this could be seller financing. Let's just say they don't have enough money for the down payment. Would the seller be open to putting that up as seller financing for an X amount of time? And then maybe a balloon payment. So you're constantly negotiating not just the terms, but the financing in business brokering, which is a really big thing. So understanding how to negotiate terms and understanding the finances is probably the biggest difference between real estate and business brokering. You really have to have an understanding of the funding, the finance portion of a business. And basically what you are is a quarterback in a business transaction, okay? You are managing this deal, and it can go sideways in so many ways. And so as you start growing as a business broker, you're gonna be able to see these things happen or figure out how to solve the problem a lot quicker. So that's basically what a business broker does. But the one thing as I started was figuring out what the opportunity was in being a business broker. And opportunity is really what caught my eye. And so let's dive into what the opportunity is. So I truly believe that right now is the best time to possibly get into business brokering, and I will tell you why. One of the reasons, if you are a real estate agent in this current market where we're at, I know you're struggling, but this would be a really great reason, and we're going to dive into all of them. But also if you're not a real estate agent. Now, there are only 17 states that actually require you to have a real estate license to do business brokering, because there is no real estate involved in most of these transactions. It's really a transfer of lease. So one of the biggest points is if you are wanting to do this part-time, you can jump into this career and start doing it part-time, even if you don't have a real estate license. And even if you live in one of those states that you have to have a real estate license, you can still do them in other states that don't. There's so many opportunities, and we see this all across the board with business brokering, is that there's a lot of business brokers that don't have their license in the state they live in. So they actually do business brokering in a state that's close to them, and it happens. So there's a lot of opportunity, but one of the biggest opportunities is going to be just the sheer amount of small businesses that need your help. Now, they say that 100,000 businesses every year are sold. Now, I believe it's way more than that, because unlike the MLS or being a real estate agent, they don't really have a huge way to track this. Most of them are third-party websites. So it's not a really big data unless we're thinking about small business administration. But the thing is, that's really if they do get an SBA loan. So let's just say there's 100,000 businesses that are sold. Now, I will tell you, the SBA came out with a stat last year which said that over 500,000 businesses shut their doors. So what that tells me is that there are a lot of businesses that didn't need to close their doors. They could have sold, but they didn't have the resources, which brings me to the next point. is that there are not enough business brokers. So there are a lot of crazy stats, but this is one of the biggest crazy stats that drove me to be like, I have to dive into this business and I have to figure out how to actually scale this as a business. And one of the stats is there are only around 9,000 business brokers in all the United States. And you say, well, that's a lot, but not when you compare it to the 1.6 million real estate agents that are in America right now. That's a crazy difference. And so the opportunity is there's just not many business brokers. So if you dive into this, the opportunity is huge, because think about this. I know in real estate for myself, when I was doing real estate and still am, and if you have a listing, most likely you're not going to be the only one that is going to be coming in for that listing appointment. You might are coming in after somebody, or someone's coming in after you, because there are so many real estate agents that are just hunting for that next deal, and especially in this market. So there is really a sink or swim mentality when it comes to that, because you have to. There are so many. Now in business brokering, it is more like shooting fish in a barrel. For one, there are a lot of businesses that are trying to sell by themselves and they just don't have the resource, or listen, nobody's reaching out to them. They have no business brokers out there that are saying, oh, I'm going to do these deals. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. Most of the business brokers of that 9,000, a lot of them are older and they have been doing this for a long time, and they are doing deals that are higher amounts. And we've had situations where we sold a business that interviewed 5 business brokers. It was a $500,000 business, and all the business brokers turned it down. And the reason was it was only $500,000. They didn't do anything under $5 million. So of that 9,000 brokers, there's a lot of them that are turning these smaller deals away. And you can say, oh, well, they must not make that much. Well, we're going to dive into that one next. So you might say, well, those 5 business brokers, they turned that down because they don't make that much money off a $500,000 deal because we're comparing it to whatever. But you have it backwards. And the best way I can say is that commission is the king in business brokering. And so when I'm taking all the opportunity and I'm looking at them and I'm saying, okay, there's not that many business brokers. There's a lot of business owners that need help out there selling. Well, what's the commission? And when I looked at it and it said 15%, I said, this can't be real. This can't be real. There's just no way that someone's going to pay 15%. I will tell you, in the career that I've had in real estate, I've had more people that have tried to cut my 3% commission in real estate than have at the 15% in business brokering. Now, why is that? One, supply and demand. There's not a lot of business brokers. And if you own a pizza shop, well, it's different. There's a lot more moving parts in business brokering, and you're going to need help. You're not going to be able to fill all those buyers. You're not going to be able to vet them. As a pizza owner, you're really good. You run pizza shops. You're good at making pizzas. And so it's really challenging to do both. And so the 15% commission, really, when I saw that, I was like, I have to dive into this and I have to figure out how to do it. So the opportunities to be a business broker have never been more than they are right now. So if you're interested in it, this is something that we need to dive into. And now we're going to dive into, well, how do you become a business broker? Now you might be saying, hey, Travis, I am ready to go. I've heard everything. This is awesome. Let's dive into it. We're going to walk you through on how to become a business broker and how to start your career. But I want you to understand the avenues of how to get there, because there's a reason that there's not that many business brokers. And it's because it's one of those things that it's harder to learn because you don't have the resources available to you. And if they are available, it's going to cost you. So there's really 3 ways that you can start becoming a business broker. And the first route is going to be the franchise model. Now, there's a lot of companies out like Trans World that you can become a franchise and you can start that. However, there is a lot of costs that you have. Now, franchise fees can be anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 depending on the area that you're at. So that means just to start this career that you have never done before, you are going to have to pay a franchise fee. And they also have marketing fees. They also have other fees available to you. And you're going to have to do this full time. They're not going to want to sell you a franchise and have you do this if it's a part-time and it's something that you're just doing on the side. They're not going to want to do that. that they are going to give you leads and they're going to help you with that. However, is it worth the price? I don't know, but that's one. There's so many other franchise models, and that's really why people haven't started this career, is because they haven't had it accessible to them. So the other option is you could just become an independent broker, and you could do it for yourself. Now, there's pros and cons that come with all of these. The pro with this is that you really don't have any overhead. You're learning as you go. You don't have anything to pay for. If you're in a state that you don't have to have a license, a real estate license, well, you don't have to pay for that either. The con is you have to pay for everything else. You have to have somebody that's going to educate you and learn how to do that. You're going to have to talk to lawyers. You're going to have to get your contracts. Remember, there's no promulgated contracts. There's no contracts that are going to be given to you. So your letter of intent, your purchase agreements, your listing agreements, anything you have, that's all on you. And so that can become costly if you have lawyers do that. Also, the training aspect is a huge thing too. Who are you going to lean on when you do have one of these hairy deals that gets crazy? So maybe if you started off, and we see this a lot, that people were in a franchise as a business broker and they go, hey, I don't want to pay these fees, and they start doing it independent. So those are the two options that you have, but there is a third option. All right, the third option is to join BizBroker Plus. And yes, it's a shameless plug because I am the CEO and I love what we're doing. We like to think of ourselves as the future of business brokering because we are really putting our brokers first, which is going to put the small business owners first. And we allow part-time, we allow full-time, we give you all the resources. We have courses, we have masterminds. We basically are opening our playbook to you, and we just charge a $99 small monthly fee, which basically with the 15% commission and a 15% lowest minimum that you can make, $15,000, you can not sell a business. You can sell one business in 10 years and it still makes sense for you. So for us, it's all about changing the way that business brokering is done and really looking towards the future. And so if that's something interesting in you, all this stuff makes sense to you, those are your three options. You can go to a franchise, pay high fees. You can try to learn by yourself, be independent, or you can go to a company that has a community that's there to support you. All right, guys, that's it. I mean, I hope that you learned everything it is, what a business broker actually is, what they do, and how to become a business broker if that's something you're interested in. You can always head for more information, go to bizbrokerplus.com, or you can subscribe and you can get notified when we drop any more videos about business brokering or business ownership. But we'll see you guys again.